Hey everyone, Chris here with another filler episode, and today's a long one because we're going to be going on a nostalgia trip. Specifically, we're going to be taking a look at video game inserts. Now, what I would consider to be an insert would be anything that would come with the game that isn't technically the game itself. So, things like manuals, but other things you might not really remember all so well, or maybe you do remember them and you wish you hadn't. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Anywho, there's a lot to cover, so let's get started. Starting off simple enough, we've got the manual for System Shock 2, which, ironically, the face recognition is picking up on the camera. But, yeah, it's a very basic thing. So, you might be thinking, okay, so yeah, you've got the manual for System Shock 2, big deal. Guess what else I've got for it? The System Requirements and Installation Guide. Yeah, the thing is that a lot of manuals typically they're typically written while the game is still being worked on. So there's no way to sort of know what the installation process is going to be like because the installer hasn't been written at the time the manual is written. So the installation guides are usually they're like an afterthought. That's why they have these in the first place. Manual for World Class Leaderboard. Yeah, I actually was surprised to find this. And it actually tells about how the putting is messed up in that one skill level, too. Man, I'm surprised I still have this. I didn't even think I had the manual, because the game was given to me by someone. Yep, I've got my manual for Unreal Tournament, even. I never really played this game all that much. Kind of wish I had. It's just, when I got Unreal Tournament, it was, like, way out of date. So, maybe I'll give it another shot at some point. Now this is a really nice manual. This is the manual for Freelancer. And this is actually full color, it's all glossy and everything. This is how you do a manual. It's too bad so many manuals just come in black and white. It's because they figured, people aren't going to read these because, play the game. The other thing that's good about this manual is that it actually has sort of a reference card right on the back of it. That way you don't have to keep a separate reference card. You got the manual right here with your reference material on it. Awesome manual, awesome game. Sometimes installation instructions have to be written for separate operating systems even. Like this is for, this is the Macintosh installation guide for Quake 3, specifically because the actual Quake 3 stuff doesn't have installation instructions for the Mac in it. So, yeah, that's why they have to make something like that. Here's my manuals for Descent 2 and Descent 3. And unfortunately, I don't have the manual to the original Descent. Oh well. Actually, these are really thick manuals, and they don't even have to be this thick, but it goes into a lot of details about the game, and the graphics inside the manual are actually pretty sharp for the most part, so these are actually not that bad manuals. I haven't looked at the Descent 3 one in a long time. Descent 3 one's kind of thinner than the other one in terms of the paper. Yeah. I also happen to have this little thing here, Descent 3 reference card, which is just the controls like that. See, this is why, take a look at the back of the Descent 3 manual. It's just the Interplay logo. So you'd think that they'd be able to print something like that right on the back of the manual. Yeah, what are you gonna do? Geez, this is a big manual. This is the manual for Command & Conquer. It doesn't even have to be this big, because look, it's just a whole bunch of huge pictures. Oh, manuals. Yeah, that's a big manual. Yeah, we already took a look at this thing, but it bears repeating that this is an absolutely thick manual. Oh, man. If you want to see some of the inside here, it's just... yeah. And it's mostly text, which doesn't help. Oh. This is why no one plays flight simulators. Manual for Descent Free Space. Nothing too special about it. Though, I was never really able to get into Free Space that much, which is weird, because I like games that are like this, flying around space and everything, but, I don't know, I just couldn't get into this one. Ooh, here's the manual for a game I need to cover on Ancient DOS games at some point, Fast Break. As you can imagine, it's a basketball game. Yeah. Oh hey, I forgot it has this stuff on the back, it's like court positions and whatnot. Yeah, I really need to get to this game at some point. Ew, childhood. Yeah, back when I was a kid, I had this fascination with coloring in things that were in monochrome, and I kind of screwed up. Yeah. Yeah, this actually came with King's Quest. It's all embossed on the cover and everything, and it's basically just a story guide for King's Quest, and has a very small map at the back and explains, you know, how to go about mapping and everything. Stupid childhood. Though speaking of King's Quest, this isn't technically an insert because I bought this afterwards, but this is the King's Quest hint book. Now, what's interesting about this thing? Yeah, it doesn't actually give you the hints directly. What ends up happening is it gives you a piece of information at the top here, like that would be your question, and then you had a special card with a red filter on it that you'd run over, and there you can kind of make it out. There's these little hint things in the middle, and that would actually give you your hints. And the further down you went, the more obvious the hint would be. So if you only needed a little bit of a hint, you could just look at the top, but if you needed a huge hint, you could go to the bottom. And yeah, a lot of the what the? Why is there a page that's full red? Hang on. Oh geez, it even starts right here. What is this for? Failed to guess. Oh great, it's the gnome puzzle. Oh geez. He gave you a gold. Oh wait a minute. This isn't a. It's the. Okay. Holy jeez. Okay. Sorry, I knocked the camera. This is talking about the key and where to use it, and it gives you only 2 hints, because you can barely see them. But there's another one right here that says, okay, I give up. How do I guess the gnome's name? Oh, geez. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 hints to try and tell people how to guess the gnome's name in King's Quest. You know you have a messed up puzzle when it takes that many hints to get it across. I know these technically aren't game inserts, but I've still got my manual for my NES, which they did indeed call the control deck. There's even a little trademark thing right there. And for the N64. The N64 is kind of a glossy one, where the NES one is like, it's paper. And it's only color on the front. It's actually black and white inside. Okay, here's the manual for a game I'm still debating if I should cover on ADG or not. It's called Pinball Builder. The reason why I'm debating it is because, as you can see here, it says it's a construction kit for Windows. But here's the thing. The construction kit for Windows, yeah, it lets you play the game and stuff, but it's a really small window, really, that you're playing the whole table in. So it comes with another program you can use to play the table in sort of a more full-screen environment, like with Epic Pinball. But the thing is, that particular program is a DOS program. So this is kind of like a hybrid between a Windows game and a DOS game. Kinda. Yeah, that's why I'm still debating whether to cover it or not. Oh yeah, manual for Final Fantasy VIII for the PC. Not a lot of people like this game, but, you know, I don't find it that bad. It's just, like, the battle engine is obviously, you know, it's horribly unbalanced in your favor. But at the same time, the story is, you know, it's interesting enough for a Final Fantasy game, really. I don't know. Either way, I have the manual for it. Star Trek Voyager Elite Force. This is what you get when you turn Star Trek into a first-person shooter. And do it well. This is actually a fun game. And even though the manual is pretty thick, it's just black and white on the inside. But, again, reference materials right at the back. Gotta love that. Yeah, these are turning into mostly manuals, because as I was looking through my inserts, I noticed that a lot of the most interesting ones are kind of not technically that interesting, or weren't inserts, but were things for magazines and stuff, so, yeah. Anyway, here's another manual, SimCity 2000. As I said before, this is a really thick manual. And it's a lot of text, but the thing is, a lot of it isn't information you really need to know. Like, I mean, it does go into all the gameplay mechanics and everything, but really the game is a lot simpler to play than this manual makes it out to be. So speaking of SimCity 2000, I found my SimCity 3000 install guide. Yeah, that's all there is to say about that. Oh yeah, I found my manual for Final Fantasy III. And then the one thing I really liked about these Super Nintendo manuals is they're usually really well done. I mean, this manual goes into all kinds of details about all the different things you can find. Goes into character details and what their special abilities are. This is a really good manual, though the front of it's kind of atypical for a Super Nintendo manual. Well, let me get into that. This is the typical layout of a Super Nintendo manual. It has sort of a rectangularly squared off image that's off center, which has like the logo and the information and all that. It says instruction booklet, has the Super Nintendo logo in the bottom corner there, and usually there'd be a company logo here if it was a third-party game. This is the typical format of a manual, but in a moment we're going to see how that diverges a bit. Okay, got my stack of Super Nintendo manuals at the ready here. Super Street Fighter 2, nothing too fancy, but you'll notice they wrote instruction manual in their own little font there. F-Zero, yeah, this is a pretty normal manual, though now that I've got this in my hands, this actually has a comic in it. Not a very long comic, but hey, you take what you can get. And yeah, even back when F-Zero was new, Captain Falcon still looked like that. Yeah. But then we start to diverge a little more like this one here. Like this manual for Donkey Kong Country, it's the same format as the others, but Donkey Kong's sort of, escaping from the frame, and you've got the leaves in the background, give it that green color. So it's slightly atypical in that manner. All-Stars, pretty normal. Mega Man X, pretty normal. Ooh. Now here's a manual that definitely diverges a bit. The Populous manual here, you can see they've centered this part right here, and they've got that whole rocky background going on. I guess it doesn't diverge that much, but, it definitely stands out from the other manuals. Wing Commander's Secret Mission stands out by having sort of, it's using a lot more of the space there than the other manuals typically do. Like, I mean, this was just a guideline, really. The people making these manuals didn't have to adhere to it. And, a lot of them adhere to it. ActRaiser is kind of centered. Robotruck's also kind of centered there. Ooh. Now here's where we get the real divergence. Gradius 3's manual. This looks nothing like a typical Super Nintendo manual, save for the little code at the top and the Super Nintendo logo at the bottom. Beyond that, title at the top, and a full splash of the entire image there. This is a good looking manual. Does it still look as good in the... Oh yeah, full color inside too. I love this game. Now at first glance you might think this is a manual for Sonic the Hedgehog. You'd be wrong. Because one thing that happened with a lot of Sega games in particular, in fact a lot of games did this back in the day, was they'd actually give you... Hang on, wait for it. A poster! Yep. It's a poster for Toe Jam and Earl. But the reason why they did this was because on the back, they would actually advertise all kinds of different games back here. And sometimes even the system hardware itself. So, not only did you get a poster out of it, but you also got advertising out of it. That's why a lot of companies did this. Here's another one. It says Batman Returns for the Genesis on the front, but I guarantee you I do not own this game. And because of the Sega CD thing on the back, oh yeah, it's another poster. This one happens to be for Sonic 2. Now, I find this poster kind of interesting because any of you who know the box art for Sonic 2 know that that's pretty much what the box art looks like, except on the box, Sonic and Tails are facing the viewer. Here, you see their backsides. I don't know, I just always found that interesting about this poster. Heck, even Super Nintendo games gave you posters. Not quite as big as the Sega ones, but this is the one for Populous. And as you might expect, advertising on the back. Wonder if anyone actually has that thing. These posters are so small they actually both fit in frame. Sonic Advanced and Sonic Advance 2. Yeah, they don't actually have a lot of advertising on the back either. Yeah. Oh well, at least they still gave you something. Now here's something I find a little curious. This is one of the product registration cards for Sega Dreamcast stuff. Now as you can see, it's a pretty fair size. You open it up and it has questionnaire and everything. Asks you questions, give you sweepstakes possibilities, and you send it in. Okay, seems pretty simple. What I find curious about this is that eventually they came down to this tiny little thing. It's basically the exact same thing, but in a much smaller form factor. And what I find even more curious is that this one, it has an extra 11th question that asks you if you want to receive email from Sega and provides you with some slots to insert your email address if you want to. Why do I find this amusing? Because that is a comically small number of character spaces for an email address. I mean, seriously. Some people have email addresses like twice as long. Oh boy, this thing. Okay. I have a particular game called Star Trek Starfleet Academy. This was their brilliant idea for doing sort of a quick reference thing. I don't know. Why list the controls all separately like this? It just goes to show how badly designed this game was. I mean, it was so promising when it first came out. And one thing that's really comical is that it has installation... Oh, wait a minute. That doesn't even... That is horribly How do you even pronounce that? Installation? Installation. Wow. You have installation instructions on the quick reference. This is the thing that you're supposed to keep in front of you while you're playing the game so that you know what all the controls do. Why do you need installation instructions on something like this? I don't know what they were thinking. Speaking of things that disappoint me, yeah. Okay, now I'm sure a lot of you like Pokemon, and trust me, I liked Pokemon for a long time too, and still it's started getting, ridiculously repetitive. Here's the thing, though. This manual is a great big tease, because it starts listing off all the Pokemon and showing you pictures of them, but then starts having empty slots. And I actually started filling some of these slots in with my own stickers printed from Pokemon Stadium when they were doing that thing. Seriously, why include all this empty space? I mean, even at the last page, that sticker was added by me. So this last page used to have nothing on it. And Professor Oak just looking at you like, yeah, we're just teasing you. Go play the game, you stupid kid. By the way, I know these stickers fit nice and perfectly in here, but I can't believe they were planning the whole sticker mechanic when they first released this game. So that's just a happy coincidence. Or unhappy, depending on how disappointed that section at the back made you. By the way, the cleaning kit actually has a manual. Yeah, this is a real thing. Though, here's something interesting. A lot of people often... I tell people never to use alcohol when cleaning their contacts on their cartridges, because it can wear it down over time. Wait, that's French. Hang on. Right. It actually says right in here that, if possible, distilled water should be used. For maximum cleaning effect, use a mixture of 1 teaspoon of alcohol and 1 teaspoon water. It does not say to use pure alcohol. I actually still have my manual for my original Game Boy. That's pretty crazy. Cool. Ooh, I'll bet a lot of you still have copies of this game, but I wonder how many of you actually have copies of the manual for it. This is the manual for the Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt combo cartridge that's pretty much as common as, I don't know, sand? I mean, seriously, there's a ton of these cartridges out there, but I'm willing to bet not a lot of people have the manual for it. Secret trick section, yeah, right. What are these secret tricks? Bulldozers, no. Yeah, you guys know how to do those. Now, to close out the video, I know I'm cheating kind of a bit here, but this is stuff that was recently sent to me by a fellow viewer, including this copy here of the patch for Doom version 1.1 to 1.2. Yeah, this was accidentally included in one of these boxes. And the guy who gave me this stuff is only finding out about it right now because I wanted it to be kind of a surprise, because it's kind of silly. I mean, really, Doom 1.2? Really? Anyways. But yeah, all of this stuff was sent in by Chris McGee, who's also known as Sturm Brightblade. And I'll have a little achievement thing pop up right in the corner. There you go. So basically, he kindly sent me all these games. I mean, really, this is awesome. Like, thank you for sending me all of these games. But I have no idea which one I'm going to review. I want to review one of these games for my next Ancient DOS Games episode, but I have no idea which one to pick. Like, I mean, the one for Goblins 2 in the corner isn't even unwrapped. It's still shrink-wrapped. You know what? I'm going to leave it up to a vote. So you guys send in your votes as to which of these you want me to cover first. And if it's one of the ones like the Crusader pack there, or the Legend of Kuranda, how do you pronounce that? Kurandia? I don't know. That one in the back. Those two have multiple games on them, so if you pick one of those, I'll cover the first game. But yeah, choose any of those, send in your vote, and whichever one gets the most votes be the one that I show for the next Ancient DOS Games episode. So the votes will end around this time next Saturday, and stay tuned for the next episode of Ancient DOS Games. I really should have looked at a calendar before I did this, so I'll post the date of the next episode in the credits. See you guys later.